On a hot summer day, you might be inclined to stare at the figure writhing under the blazing sun. But if you gaze too long upon one of Japan's modern urban legends, the Kunekune is sure to teach you that staring is not polite. So mind your manners, grab yourself something cold to drink, and join me as we dive into the sweltering curiosity of the Kunekune.
Immortal sunshine.
Hello and welcome to the podcast shedding candlelight on cryptids, hauntings, mythology, and more. If it is weird, we are talking about it. This is your host, Leedana, and today's summertime episode is sure to wriggle its way under your skin. But is this urban legend merely fan fiction, or is there something sinister lurking in the fields of Japan? In 2001, eyewitness accounts started to emerge on a Japanese website that is akin to Reddit. Users of this website described encountering a tall, humanoid shaped entity that is sometimes black, but most often it is pure white and as thin as a sheet of paper. Seen at a distance, the entity appears to be a slender mannequin standing upright, twisting its limbs in an unnatural way, contorting, swaying, and bending as if it has no bones. Think of those big windsock style characters that sit outside of businesses here in the States, the ones that get blown around in the wind, only the Kunekune moves without wind. The name Kunekune comes from the Japanese word meaning to wriggle or to twist. And most often, this creature is spotted in vast open spaces such as rice fields. It appears in midday when the sun is high and the temperature is hot. In that middle part of the day when the air shimmers with the haze of heat. It has no clear face and no distinct features, and though the wrongness of the thing makes you want to stare, the warning is always the same. If you see a white figure off in the distance moving this way and that, drawing your eye to its boneless motion, if you stare at it for too long, if you look too closely, if you try to learn anything at all about the paper thin entity and what it might be doing, you risk going mad. Some say you will revert to a childlike state, while others claim the punishment for your curiosity will be much worse than you simply losing your mind. One internet story claimed that a young boy was visiting his grandparents on a bright summer day when he went outside to play with his older brother in a nearby rice field. Off in the distance, the boy saw something white twisting and bending as if it had no bones at all. He pointed the thing out to his older brother and asked what it was. The older brother paled and told his siblings that they needed to look away, that they were not allowed to gaze upon the thing. The boys went back to their grandparents' house where the grandfather reiterated what the older brother had said. Do not look at the white object, which served only to make the boy more curious. He grabbed a pair of binoculars and focused them on the wriggling, contorting thing out in the field. Upon seeing it up close, the boy's mind began to unravel. Once he went mad, his family said it was what he saw through the binoculars that completely undid him. Another eyewitness account came from a man who recounted what happened at summer camp when he was in the fourth grade. On the last day of this swimming lesson summer camp, a typhoon was approaching, so all of the campers had to stay indoors. Our narrator said he was at the window looking out toward the ocean when he noticed a white object moving in this strange, unnatural way. One of his campmates saw it too, and after a while, a strange cry ripped from that camper's throat. The teachers rushed the boy to the hospital, and when they returned to camp, they informed the other campers that their friend would not be returning because his brain had been damaged. The man who recounted this story said he was nearsighted and therefore could not see the writhing white object very clearly. He believes his poor vision is what saved him from meeting the same fate as his fellow camper. Once these firsthand accounts started to be published in the early 2000s, lore of the Kunekune spread like wildfire, the legend evolving quickly as other online users added their own experiences. But are these eyewitness accounts real? On the one hand, we can track the origin of the Kunekune, making it very easy to say that this is a creepy pasta style fictional story that has been repeated and exploited. However, in 1834, a Czech folklorist wrote a ballad called Polidnitz. I'm going to say it wrong, but it translates to the Midday Witch. This ballad and the man's later 1853 poem both draw directly on the Czech folk belief about dangerous demonic spirits that show up in the midday heat. Before 1834, belief in these demons was passed down by word of mouth throughout Slavic oral traditions. And because of this, the name tends to change a bit, and I am going to spare you from having to listen to me pronounce all of them incorrectly. What's important is that after 1834, we see these heat demons popping up in books and ballads throughout the entire Slavic region, which includes Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Serbia, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Czech Republic, and many other countries in that area of the world. The Slavic oral traditions talk about Lady Midday, the noon wraith, and there were even books and dictionaries written throughout the late 1800s and early 1900s where oral traditions were recorded to include the different names of these heat demons. In these stories, the noon witch haunted the fields during summer. When she found someone disturbing the field in the hottest part of the day, she would punish them with sunstroke, with madness, and sometimes Lady Midday would even make the people disappear. A Polish writer won a Nobel Prize for his novel that translates to The Peasants. It was published in 1904, but was set in 1880 and reflected peasant storytelling, which included Lady Midday. Clearly, this female entity personifies the dangers of working in the fields under the intensity of the midday sun. Her appearance varies as widely as her name. Sometimes she is a young girl, other times an old hag, and oftentimes a beautiful maiden meant to tempt you into madness. Sometimes she is said to carry what my daughter-in-law would call a stabby, which is a sharp object of some sort, a sickle, shears, the kind of thing my son needs to be leery of around his adorable and innocent wife, who would definitely never accidentally nick him right on the neck with one of her stabbies. In all the stories about Lady Midday, the thing that remains the same is that she is dressed in a long, flowing white dress. However, sometimes she appears as a swirling cloud or in a shimmering, writhing haze. But remember how I told you that sometimes, not very often, but on occasion, eyewitnesses say the Kunekune is black? Well, sometimes, not very often, but on occasion, when the noon witch shows up, it is said that she is burned, charred black as night, as if she just crawled out of an eternal burning pit. The Kunekune and the noon wraith both appear in open fields during the peak of the heat on summer days when the sun is relentless. Encountering either of them brings the same kind of danger, and both of them serve as warnings about the perils of becoming overheated. So, is the Kunekune the product of the digital age, a made up story that tapped into deep seated fears and morphed into a warning the way we believe most folklore came to be? Is that what the midday lady is? A way to explain the shimmer of heat that plays tricks on your mind? Or does an ancient entity stalk the land? And the modern sightings in Japan only prove that ignoring the warning of a heat demon has dire consequences. Either way, there is probably no need for mass hysteria. If it is hot outside, the sun is blazing, and you see something on the horizon, just look away, take a break, get some water, and maybe put a little salt in that water, especially if you have been sweating a lot. We don't have to explain everything. We don't have to know what's out there. The important thing is that we do not tempt fate or demons. But if you needed to learn your lesson the hard way, or if you have ever simply spotted something writhing in a field on a hot day and what you saw is PG, send me your story. You can reach me on social media. I even joined TikTok and engaged with it for like 2 weeks. And now I'm at my occasional pop in and post, which is how I do all social media. So if you are old like me and you prefer email, my email is leedawnabooks@gmail.com. If you like thriller and fantasy books, or you are looking for show notes on any of my episodes, you can find it all on my website at leedawnabooks.com. There is a tab for the podcast where you can find all of the show notes formatted in a blog post. I did finally finish another thriller manuscript, and I will probably put up a pre order soon. So join my mailing list to keep up to date on what's happening with that. And whether you read my books or not, I appreciate you being here with me today. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, stay cool this summer, do not stare at things, and watch men at work sweating, but don't actually do the sweating yourself. And I am only partially kidding about that last bit of advice. Enjoy your summer, guys. I will see you next time. Sorry this one was so short, but I'm a little under the weather, so I just have to keep things short probably this month and next. But I really do appreciate you being here with me today. Bye.
Sunshine.